Good morning, Isaiah. I was really excited when your mom sent the message that she sent. I'm very grateful that she remembered me. I know you've got a lot going on, and then again, a lot of time to think about what's going on. But I want to congratulate you in the midst of all this for graduating as you did from Stanford, proud member of the class of 2020. In thinking about what I wanted to say to you, the thing that comes to mind more than anything is are two things. One is, twice as a teacher, I had students who were brothers or sisters write about something, one sibling write about something that the other sibling wrote about later on. And Jay's first paper to me was about the word telekinesiology, about his curiosity about that and looking it up after he read about it in a book. The second paper he wrote was about your parents having you research dog breeds for 4 months before you got your dog. The first paper you wrote was about letting your dog in the house after it'd been outside and it getting mud all over the kitchen floor. And not that I had to figure out that Isaiah Drummond was Jay Drummond's brother. I'd only had 2 Drummonds. A shame I didn't get to teach Patrice. But you displayed a grasp of the interesting from the beginning. I had a difficult time thinking of what it was that I was going to be able to teach you. On the other hand, there were a lot of things I did learn from you. And the utmost is, there was an occasion in class, I don't know if you recall, but everybody was very bright and outspoken, and a classmate said something that was, on the other hand, awkward. And I don't recall exactly what it was, but it was like all the air was sucked out of the room. And like a million fingers pointing in the direction of that kid. And you, after a minute, maybe not even that long, but a pause, you had your hand on the side of the head. You used to sit on one leg and you would have your hand on the side of your head like this. And you chuckled and you said something along the lines of, yeah, isn't that something? Or, I hate when that happens, or I've been through that too. I don't even remember the exact thing. But all of a sudden, the awkwardness in the room was sucked out as quickly as it entered. You have a sense of interpersonal giftedness. I don't know if you look at it that way, but behavioral scientists would call it that. You made everything okay for that kid. And for everybody else in the room too, to have a place to go on from. You know, you're going to make such a difference in the world. I think all 3 of you were born and raised to that. But when the time comes and people ask you what it was like to graduate from college, have your graduation changed the way it has because of COVID, and then the circumstances right now surrounding George Floyd's death, I hope that you can remember to tell them things about it that you learned, or things about it that you benefited from. That's a hard word to use with Mr. Floyd's death, but things that were made the time precious to you. Now, unlike you, I experienced the 60s, and the 60s were not a period. There was a lot of things that went on in the 60s that didn't endear the changes to a lot of people. But that's, unrest happens at times of change. There's awkwardness and difficulty when things we're on the cusp of something big. I hope, I hate to think that Mr. Floyd had to lose his life, but there will be something of this that we didn't have before and that we should have had before. And I somehow see Drummond being a part of that, helping to settle the anxiety, showing what we have as gifts. Anyway, I have to show you this fella sneaking up on me. I'm at Herman Park. I come here and walk in the mornings. I'll tell you why in a minute. But I want to tell you that on that day, you allowed me to see a gift out of something that could have had a kid go home and cry until the next day coming back to school. But the only thing that we got out of this was that another kid in the room who was respected and looked up to by classmates understood what had happened, and that it was okay. It's a part of being who we are. So there's a lot of things going on right now that people can't necessarily see the end of, see how they're going to change or how they're going to get better. I think, we all know it's not going to happen to the extent that we hope it does overnight. It's not going to happen right away, that there are going to have to be a lot of assurances, that there are people who are going to resist because they're afraid of what might happen next. So there have to be those people in the room to make it feel like it might be okay after all. I think you stand the chance to be one of those people. As a mechanical engineer, I see that there's so much you can do to make a difference. But I expect there are other ways too. I expect the day will come when you will, lead someone to Christ who is lost, or raise children who enter a classroom and make somebody feel comfortable, or, bless a teacher with a paper that she'll never forget. But more than anything, I think that you are a patient ear and an empathetic voice when people step into something that they thought they were ready for, that they thought those around them were ready for, but they're not quite sure. And so I look forward to hearing about these things. I want you to keep in touch, in other words. At times when things are uncertain, I like to read Job chapters 38 through 42, because even though it sounds like God is admonishing Job for who are you to think certain things, I think God is telling Job that he is so much bigger than everything that could happen. Like, he controls the waves, and Leviathan obeys him, and he is so much in power, and there's comfort in that for me. And also, I like to read Kings and Chronicles and read about the things that men do that God used, that even some men who are whose intentions were bad, God could channel those around them, under them, above them, and help them move toward something that was better. Even the kings who were bad, to make way for better kings to come, and ways to have the people thrive. All along the way, though, the thing that also I like is that God puts other people around him and his kings, even in difficult times, who help things to move toward his benefit. And some of those people are engineers, like Daniel and Nehemiah. But I don't think God calls us to always understand. He's always revealing himself. It's like at the end of Daniel, and Daniel says, I don't know what all of this means. And God says, go your way, Daniel. It'll all be revealed to you when it needs to be. He is in control. But anyway, congratulations to you. Give my best to Jay. Tell Patrice hello, too, from the Miss Davis she didn't have, and your mom and dad as well. Take care. I look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye. Oh, why am I at Herman Park? Well, you know, I retired 2.5 years ago. And the thing was I was going to, do so much to volunteer. We had a little tiny bit of damage from Harvey, and I do things like it's very therapeutic to swing a hammer, very cathartic. But I had an appointment all set up to have an orientation with CASA. That was going to be my big area of volunteer work. And the week before, found out that my sister had triple negative inflammatory breast cancer. I don't know if you're familiar with what all that means. Maybe you are, but she is like in the 1% area of the worst possible types of breast cancer. So we started a journey with MD Anderson about, I think we started in August. She's doing radiation right now twice a day. So that's why I come down to Herman Park, so I can walk in the morning while she's there. She stays with me. She was a little ways out of town. But anyway, and so I get to walk down here. It's so pretty. There are always bunnies around. Of course, all the geese and some ducks and the pigeons. There was a little flock of pigeons that walked up to me a minute ago because I'm pretty sure they're used to being fed. But anyway, throughout all this, her condition, God has been in control. She came through chemo okay. We thought it was going to be worse than it was. It wasn't easy, but she did it. She had her surgery. She was slated to have somewhere in the vicinity of a fourth of the front of her torso removed due to the cancer. She got out of her surgery, and she had kind of a rough week the first week, but not the way I thought it was going to be. And then she started her radiation. In the midst of all this, her pathology report from surgery was that there was no evidence of disease. It was gone. It was there. Her tissues and so forth had swollen greatly. But during the course of chemo, starting right away, we saw it shrink. We could visibly see the signs of the cancer shrink. So now she's in the last part of it. And this week right here is the third week of 4.5 weeks of twice daily chemo. We're down here a lot. But not being able to make that appointment with CASA wasn't a failure. I had to deal with that for a little bit at first. This is where God wants me to be. Sometimes God's areas for us are a whole lot closer to home than we thought they would be. Because we see our family members as being firm. There's so many things in life we can't control. And we see those areas where our families are as being something that God provides for us. But that's assuming a lot about God. It's not that God always makes things easy. I don't think God makes things difficult for us. But I think God does expect us to learn something from what we have, the circumstances that surround us. I'm not very good at staying conscious of God, but He never fails me. And I'm so thankful to hear that you are a man of God. Well, here's the genuine goodbye. Best wishes. Let me know how you're doing. My best to you and your family. Take care, Isaiah. See you later. Bye-bye.